Hello? Hello?
Podcast Network Asia.
Hey guys, welcome back to Small Talk, small conversations with huge impact. My name is Alec Cuenca, and before anything else, I would like to greet each and every one of you who are listening to the podcast right now. If this is your first time, then welcome. I hope that you enjoy and listen and learn from this episode. And if you do, then don't be shy. Go ahead and share it on your Instagram, because the people who shares the podcast on their Instagram is basically the main reason why we are growing this fast. So if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, don't forget to leave a rating and review. And if you are a avid listener of the podcast, then welcome back. I hope masarap ang ulam mo last weekend. I hope that you enjoy and learn from this episode as much as you can. And a few announcements. First, again, I moved the schedule on. Instead of Mondays and Thursdays, I will be uploading Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Mondays, solo episodes like this one. Wednesdays, I have a guest. And on Fridays, I will do the Ask Alec, where I answer or read your story and answer your questions. So if you're interested in getting featured on the podcast, joining me on the show, then you can go ahead and send me your story or questions on Instagram at Small Talk Podcast. Or you can also send me a voice message and I will feature it on the show. So, yeah. Okay, so today's episode is all going to be about change. We all have things that we want to change in our lives. Like whether it's the smallest habits that we have or it's the lifestyle that we currently have. We all have a certain dream that pertains to our better life, or how at least we imagine it, right? But I figured that we all have that dream of becoming better, but we don't actually go through the changes necessary for us to be in that position. So what I figured is that change is optional and not all people go through it. So if you're listening to the podcast, then I can assume that you are interested of changing something in your life. And first of all, I'm proud of you. You know, not all people want to go through that change. They're stuck in wherever they are, and they believe that life is how it is. When you understand that you can change and other people around you can change, that's where it all begins. Okay? Everybody can change, but not everybody does. Everybody can change, but not everybody does. And so we'll go through the different stages to hopefully see the different directions or different methods that we can do or apply in our life, so that we ensure that we go through the change that we want to go through. Lastly, my disclaimer is you got to understand that there are things that you cannot change. And I want you to not focus on those things. Focus on the things that you can change, that's within your control. Like if you want to change, what happened this year with the COVID and the pandemic, it's never going to change. If you want to change a person to like you or dislike you, you can't do that. If you want to change a person to make her love you more, you can't do that. But I don't want you to focus on that. Focus on the things that you have control over and focus on changing that. Okay? So the first stage of change is self-awareness. It all begins with self-awareness. You can't change if you don't know what you want to change, right? A lot of us are playing victim in our lives. We always blame our circumstances. We blame different people around us of why our life is like this. But the more we throw the blame towards other people, the more we point to other people, the more that we give them power over our lives. What I want you to do is take that power back. Be accountable for everything that is happening in your life. When you become accountable for whatever's happening in your life, you'll soon realize that the change you deeply wanted, something that you already have access to. You gotta be self-aware. You gotta know what you want to change. You got to look at yourself, reflect on your actions, distinguish if it's a habit or a reaction that you want to change, and focus on that. Be specific on what you are trying to change. A lot of people, I want to change for the better, but what does better look like? It's hard to gauge whether we are successful in the change process if we don't know what our success will look like. Okay? So we got to be aware of what does change look like for us. Is it something that I want to change? That means from being broke, I want to earn 100,000 pesos. And the more specific, the better. Okay? I want to change also. Before, I was always emotionally unavailable to people. Now I want to start dating and find my soulmate, manifest my soulmate into my life. What's the end goal? What's the end point of your change process? You got to be aware. Okay? You got to be aware of where you are and where you want to be. What are the things that you want to change? And what are the things that you can have when you go through the change that you want to go through? So that's the first step. Self-awareness. That's the first stage. Okay? Self-awareness. The second is belief. A lot of people actually are aware that they should change. A lot of people know that they have bad habits. A lot of people know that they have bad lifestyles. But there are still so many people that don't change. Right? And why is that? It's because deep inside, they are not really sure if they can change it. They have a belief inside them that doubts their capability to change. They have a belief that they might go through a simple change process, but not through a very complex one. Their mindset is stopping them from actually changing. They're not sure that they can. They're not sure that they will. And I always love to reiterate this quote that I always hear. It's that whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. Whether you think you can change, you're right. Whether you think you can't change, you're also right. Whatever you play in your head, it becomes the truth. Okay? If you believe that all your life, that everyone that comes into your life will leave you eventually, then that becomes the truth. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you believe that if you have a better life, if you start changing the bad habits that you have right now, then that becomes the truth. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So even if you are aware, if you don't believe, like not just believe 50-50, okay? It should be a fuck yes, I believe kind of thing. Like 100% I believe. It will be hard for me. You can throw anything at me, but I believe. Believe, okay? Beliefs are not just something that you think, which is right. It's something that you fully accept in your heart and in your soul and in your mind that it is true. So I want you to open up. Okay, before you might think that I've always been like this. This has always been the life that I've lived. I want you to open that and change your belief. There is a better life out there. You know that there is a better life. You know that it's existing. But you've always believed deep down that it's gonna be like this forever. Well, I'm telling you, it's not. You can change. You can have a better life if you just believe that you can. And I know it's hard. It's hard to throw away orchestrated patterns that we have in our lives, but that's life. We can either hold on to the good, but it only stops us from actually gaining great things in life. So if you want to step up your life, you got to be open to just changing it up. You got to be open not with just changing you, but changing your environment. Everything that you've ever believed on, everything that you've ever trusted on, everything that you've ever listened to right now, it can change. And that's basically the difference between a growth mindset and a fixed mindset. If you're a fixed mindset, it is what it is. Ito na yun eh. But if you have a growth mindset, you'll know that you have everything that you go through in life is something that you can learn from, and you will use eventually when life gets hard, because things are constantly changing. So I want you to go have a growth mindset and list down the beliefs that you essentially that is essentially holding you back. I want you to live your best life right now. Okay? And that's the same with me. I want to live my best life right now. And so even though I had beliefs, I'm going to always doubt my beliefs. And I'm also going to doubt my doubts. But I will be open to changing the beliefs that I have in my life so I could potentially get the next level in my life. For example, this podcast. If I had believed that I won't be as, if I like didn't believe that I can build a platform where I change other people's lives, then I won't make it. I won't create this. But when I saw Joy Spring doing this stuff, I said I could be like Joy Spring. But no, Joy Spring went to UP, had connections, is a pop star, is a rock star. And I'm just a guy who came from a broken family in a broken environment. If I had just said to myself that this is your life for the rest of your life, it will be probably like that. But I didn't. I said to myself, no. You see that? That life of abundance? It's available to you. Regardless where you came from, regardless what you have right now. You see that? You can get that. And I believed in that. I really believed in that. So that's why I'm here right now speaking in front of you guys, because I believed in myself. It all started with my belief, an idea that it is possible. And I want you to take that in, that you can change. That the idea of change is possible for you, for the people around you. So that's the second thing, belief. So the third thing is a plan. You now want to change. Okay, you now believe that you can change. What's next? How do I do it, Alec? I remember when I was starting my podcast journey, I didn't have any idea. I didn't even know what a podcast was. I thought podcasts were just a platform for radio DJs and they just give shout outs and play music there as well. But it's not. And before I actually got here, I created a plan that I strictly followed to get me here. You see, when you have a dream in your life and you put a deadline onto it, you'll now have a goal. When you have a goal in mind, when you break it down to small pieces, you'll now have a plan. And what's your plan going to be? That depends on what goal you have, what kind of change that you want to achieve or see in your life. Now, how can you come up with a plan? Then go to Google. Look for people who have gone through the same process of change that you want to go through. Okay? And study them. Consume every bit of their journey and try to mimic it. Reverse engineer their whole process. I am sure that before they got to the place where they are right now, they're in the same spot that you are in right now. They say that the chances, I'm not sure with the numbers, but I'll just say, for the essence, you have like 1/100 million. You have a chance of 1/100 million to be like Jeff Bezos. But Jeff Bezos also had that number when he was just starting. When he had just this crazy dream and belief that he can go through the change and achieve a better life for him. And so the stats don't matter. The numbers don't matter. Okay? Now, once you study people, how they did it, okay, always remember success leaves clues. Every successful people have gone through a journey that you can mimic to. It's crazy to think that people are still living their life that they desperately want to get out of or desperately want to change, but they're not utilizing the greatest advancement of technology we've ever experienced. It's our phones. It's Google. You just basically need to go through Google and ask him, how can I be a millionaire? And there will be plenty of resources that will share you the secrets of millionaire. And there are plenty because there are different ways that you can actually execute your plan. So you want to take in as much knowledge as you want, okay? A lot of people are thinking about, wow, this guy's really good. Like, he owns a podcast. He speaks so well. He presents himself so well. But they didn't know the time where I was cutting my classes to actually read self-help books. They didn't know about the time where I was kicked out and all I had was a book, and I tried to message all the other people around me to hopefully, kupkupin nila ako to take me in. And even all throughout the hardships, I was reading books. I was expanding my knowledge. How did people expand their life? And once I learned enough, you can never learn enough. But when you have enough knowledge, you will have enough confidence for you to actually start going through the process of change. We're scared of change because we're scared that it might fail. But if we are prepared for most of the things that may come in our way, then we'll go into the process of change with confidence. We will have fears, but we will be courageous. That's what I did with mine. That's what I did with the podcast. I was scared. Of course, I was going into an industry where I have zero knowledge, but read, watch, and watch. And then, I'll start it because I know enough to start, to just start. But there were so many adjustments along the way because, the change process is a long process. And you got to be flexible enough. But if you don't have a plan, you plan to fail, right? They always say that if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So always create a plan for you. So that's the third stage. The fourth stage of change is doing it. Going through the change. Like, start moving your ass off, executing the plan that you have right now. And there's no other way to put it. You just gotta start. You just gotta do it. One thing that you won't want to have as you are growing up is regret. I have lived a life where I have no regrets. No. None. And it's because I know that it's going to be a tough ride, this life. But as long as I am doing what I need to do, I'm playing my role, I know what I need to do to get me through the change, and I'm going to do it. And there's really no other way to put it. You just do it. You just change it. Okay? If you say that you are, if you want to be healthier in your life, then you create a meal plan or an exercise plan, and then you go work out. Get up, even though it's hard, and it will be hard in the early stages of your change process, because your mind and your body is adjusting to something which is not, which is really different from what you're accustomed to. When you step out of your comfort zone, you will grow in ways you will never ever imagine. So don't be afraid. Okay, fear is not the absence of courage. Fear is doing the thing, even if you courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is doing the thing even if you're scared. So when you have a plan, you are prepared, don't be scared and do it. Okay? Now the fifth stage of change is actually maintenance. Okay? A lot of people forget to follow up. As I've said, there's only 2 rules of success. You start and you don't stop. Okay? So make sure that you have a plan and you execute. You start right now, make sure that you follow up. Make sure you don't stop until you get to your whatever success looks like to you, okay? Your vision of success. And during your change process, you will experience a lot of setbacks. A lot. But it's okay. Change doesn't always follow a linear path. Sometimes you may even skip back or slip back to your old habits once in a while, but that doesn't mean that your progress will be erased. When you feel like you're putting in the work and it's not working, when you feel like your strategies aren't working, then you can explore other methods for you to change. You can devise your plan, reflect on your plan and figure out, okay, maybe this doesn't work, and figure out and search for another people and look for another way that he did it. There is no excuse for you to not change. Because everything that you need to do, to know, it's available for you. It's not a lack of resource that kills a person's dream. It's the lack of resourcefulness that kills a person's dream. So make sure that you follow up. Make sure that you don't quit. Okay? Always remember that what's important is you don't stop changing. Don't stop following your plan. You can change your plan if you want to, but you gotta keep going. Change requires time and patience. So understand that. Magugulat ka na lang, sobrang layo na ng nilakbay mo pagkatapos ng lahat ng paghihirap mo. And it makes sense. It will make sense in the end. That's the only way that you could connect the dots. So please, until you hit that point where you are near, or when you have actually reached that point, you gotta keep going. You can do this. I can do this. We can do this. I want you to think about one change that you want to have for 2021. Something that's for you. Something that you can handle and you can manage and you have control over. And apply these stages of change or steps of change so that 2021 will be the best year of your life. Always remember that you got this. Okay? And that's all I have for you for this episode. I hope that you share this. Again, if you like this, if you learned something from this, share it on your Instagram. Tag me at Small Talk Podcast, and I'll be happy to read all of your insights and share and repost all of your stories. So again, thank you so much for supporting the podcast. Support the episode on Wednesday. I have a guest. I think it's Chingitan. No. It's Stanley Chi. And yeah, on Friday, I'm still accepting stories and questions for the Friday's episode, which is the Ask Alex. So if you are interested, send me your story or your voice message if you want at aleccuenca@gmail.com, or send me a message on Instagram at smalltalkpodcast.com. Okay, so again, thank you so much, and I will talk to you guys next episode. Bye-bye.
The views and opinions expressed by the podcast creators, hosts, and guests do not necessarily reflect the official policy and position of Podcast Network Asia. Any content provided by the people on the podcast are of their own opinion and are not intended to malign any religion, ethnic group, club, organization, company, individual, or anyone or anything.